In this video, I show you how to properly test products. This works, of course, with the general store, but even better with a niche store where you have a broad product inventory and you want to find the best products for your collections. Now, we just get started and do the Facebook ads. Of course, there are also other ways to do this like Google AdWords and so on, but let's check it on Facebook ads. You can use the traffic or engagement objective. I think most people actually use the engagement objective because they want to find out how many engagement the product can get, how many likes, shares, comments, and so on. But I think that also the traffic objective makes sense because ultimately you don't want to find out how popular this product is based on comments and likes. You want to see how many people are actually ready to buy it, because we all know these products that get hundreds of likes and comments and shares, but you have like 2 sales or something. So it kind of makes sense to immediately sometimes go with traffic directly. What you can do, of course, is that you start with engagement so that you build the social proof for the ad, and then later on you run a traffic or conversion objective for this specific ad. Of course, this means that you cannot change the ad afterwards, so make sure that the ad itself looks good already and that the ad is not specifically tailored to engagement only. So I would start with traffic or engagement. If you have proper conversion data, so a lot of conversions for your pixel for the store, then of course you can also go with conversions ATC or purchase. Let's in this example just start with traffic for now, and we keep all the names. It doesn't really matter. So the next thing that we need to keep in mind is that many people think that they tested a product using a certain audience, certain ad, certain landing page, and if it doesn't work out, they say, okay, this product is shit. So this product is not usable, this product doesn't work. But in fact, there are many reasons why this could be happening. So first of all, the ad could be really bad, the landing page could be totally crap, probably the targeting was really, really bad. These are all things you need to keep in mind, and therefore it doesn't make sense to have a low budget, let's say $5 or $10, and going with one specific audience only. So in my opinion, it makes the most sense to test the product when you split test it. So that you create one campaign, 2 ad sets with different audiences, probably even different placements, but I think this is not really necessary. So what I do is testing at least 2 different audiences, because you never know where the actual potential buyers of your product are. So you create one audience that you think is very promising. For example, very niche specific magazines or very niche specific interests and behaviors for your product type, and that way you can reduce the chance of not getting traction with the product simply because you chose the wrong targeting. So if you make a split test of 2 different audiences with your product and both don't work, then you can somehow say, okay, the product probably isn't that good to sell, at least not on Facebook, and then you know better. But if you just go with one audience, you never know 100% upfront if this audience is the right one for this product. So you type in all the targeting and things that you need. Probably you also want to test 2 different countries for the product, which could also make sense, but especially think about making the targeting very different. So don't just make a very small adjustment. Don't just sell the product on one hand for like 18 to 24, and the other ad group is for, or the other ad set is for 25 to 30 or something, because the difference between these both groups within the same targeting is not big enough. So you should go with 2 ad sets or 2 audiences that are as different as possible, but while still making sense to you, so that you still think both audience could be promising for your product. Then, like I said, the placement, well, very often I actually leave them automatic because I got very good results with that. But of course, you can also go with newsfeed only, or newsfeed and Instagram. Audience network is typically something that I don't use, but very often I use all Facebook and all Instagram, and Messenger also not. Typically, I use all Facebook and all Instagram options in the very beginning when I don't really know where the best place to target them is. But typically, it's newsfeed for Facebook or for Instagram. But let's just keep those both open. Or for our example, let's just open the Facebook newsfeed. So your daily budget depends, of course, on how much you have to spend. If you have a very high budget, then you could easily say, okay, let's go with $20 so that we get the results as fast as possible. If you just type in 5, you won't know after 1 day only if the product works or not, because for €5, depending on your country, you get like 5 clicks or even less. Of course, sometimes you get way more than that, but if you target a very competitive audience in a competitive country, then €5 is basically nothing. So you cannot get any data based on these €5. So this should you should adapt this to your target country, to your target audience, and to your budget, because obviously the more you are ready to spend, the faster you will get the results. So we keep all the rest, of course, automatic, since we have no idea about the product yet. Then the daily budget that you want to use, I would use anything between like 10 to €25, and of course, the more you have, the faster you get the results. And of course, now we come to the ad level. And here I must say that you can basically use many of these different ad formats. You can of course go with a single image, but in this case you can only basically advertise one product, which is the problem. If you have to create two ad sets, so one campaign with two ad sets with two ads per ad set for just one product, then the testing process takes very, very long. Not only do you need a higher budget, but it also takes a lot of time. What I recommend is that you try it with a carousel where you can add up to 10 different so-called carousel cards, and you can basically test 10 different products at once. So you have one ad, and people can basically scroll through these ads on Facebook. So this is a very good way to test multiple products at once. And the thing here is that this works even better with a niche topic. So with a niche store, with a certain niche in place, because think about that. If you run a carousel ad with 10 products that have nothing in common, then people might see the first product and the second product, and they might think, okay, this looks interesting, but they do not necessarily, you can only define one target audience in your ad set. So this target audience might be very, very suited for the first and the second product, but not for the other 8. So if you run the test with 10 products and they are completely different, then your target audience might respond well to one or two of them, but not to the rest. So if you have a niche specific store, of course, where you also need to test a lot of different things, then you could, for example, let's say you're selling baby related stuff, so something for babies, clothing, and so on. Then you could put 10 baby related products in this carousel ad. You could target the typical audience for these products, like young moms and something, and make your targeting ready. And then you have these 10 related products, and if they see the first one and think, oh, this looks good, and then they look at the second one, the third one, the fourth one, so they are more likely to go through your whole carousel. If you have a pure general store, like I said in the beginning, this is also possible, but keep in mind that the chances that someone is browsing through the whole carousel is lower. Of course, you can also go with less than 10 ads. In fact, if you have 10, it's not very likely that someone goes through all of them and then scrolls back to the one that he or she liked most. I use something between like 4 and, well, sometimes 10, yes, but I would say between 4 or 5 and 10. And I'm sure that you used carousel ads before. You just select the image of your product, make sure that you choose a very good one, put in the headline, the description, the destination URL for each product, because obviously they will be directed to the individual product page. And in the description, in the text for all the products for the whole ad, you could of course say something like, our best sellers in shop our best sellers in this collection. Free shipping available, 30 days money back guarantee or something like that. Or you talk about the specific, of course, about the specific products, about if this is a niche related store, then you talk about the niche and the product, what they have in common. Else you just talk about how this is a good bargain and so on. So make sure that you craft a good text. You can also use emojis, of course. Then you set up all the different carousel images so that you can test up to 10 products at once. And this is a great way to, okay, it's enough now. This is a great way to basically find out which products are going well as quickly as possible. So you can run the traffic to your store, and after like 1, 2, or 3 days, you see, okay, this ad here has a very high click-through rate. The cost per click is low, and I get a lot of add to carts. And this is a pretty good sign that the product is working quite well. On the other hand, if you get very low engagement, if the bounce rate on your website is very high, so make sure that you also use Google Analytics for this, so that you can see if people are actually browsing the store or are leaving after 5 seconds. Then you can make even more assumptions on the product. And last but not least, of course, if you have two different ad sets and one of them is working good, the other one isn't, then you know that indeed the targeting was the bad thing and not the product itself. So make sure that you always test all variables, the targeting, the ad, the sometimes even the campaign objective, so that you can really say, okay, this product wasn't good, and not just that you probably messed up something with the targeting or the ad. So yes, make sure that you use 2 ads per ad set. And this is a pretty good way of testing products. Of course, it makes sense to pre-select them so that you really brainstorm which are the products that you think could work best, and not just test anything that you see, but make a little pre-selection also that it fits in terms of pricing for you. Keep in mind that you cannot really get too low here, especially not if you don't have good upsells in place and everything. But else, yes, this is a pretty good technique, I think. Good luck implementing it, and see you in the next lesson.